And we are live. Your boy Calix Boxing here. Andre Ward returns to the ring Saturday night. Yeah. Andre SOG Ward is bad. At least he's active, but he's fighting a guy named Alexander Brand. Crickets on that? Nobody knows Alexander Brand? Yeah, I don't know. Alexander Brand. Who knows? Could you spot Alexander Brand out in a lineup? Alexander Brand might be your Uber driver. You don't even know. Alexander Brand is in the news. He's fighting Andre Ward. But, you know, Andre Ward hasn't been lighting the world on fire the past couple of years, as we all know. And hopefully he gets in the ring with Kovalev in November. This is all an afterthought here, this fight. And HBO is wasting money on this fight. They could have put Crawford versus Postol on regular HBO instead of putting this crap on. However, I want to focus on the good times, the good old days with Andre Ward, because there were good old days. And I wanted to focus on the top 5 victories, top 5 wins in Andre Ward's career, because he went through a nice run there from 2009 to 2012. And all the fights I'm going to mention are within that time period where he went on a nice run and then he hit the wall. He hit the wall. He fooled us, and he went to where he is right now. Hopefully he gets out of that funk and gets back to that rhythm where he was in 2009, 2012 and gets back into it. But just wanted to focus on the top 5 victories of Andre Ward's career. Number 5. Let's start with number 5 and work our way up to number 1. And I left 2 off that you could possibly put at number 5, maybe number 4. Alan Green is one where he shut Alan Green out on all 3 scorecards. Alan Green, a guy who was replacing somebody. I think he was replacing Durrell, was it? Maybe. I don't know. No, Alan Green was replacing maybe Jermaine Taylor in the Super 6. He came into the mix and he fought Andre Ward. This was I don't remember what it was, but he was replacing Jermaine Taylor, I believe. Alan Green you could have put on there. Arthur Abraham is another guy you could have put in the top 5, but Arthur Abraham at that point we figured out was a punching bag, a guy who just moved forward with his hands and hands up and then in that shell and then waited for you to throw your punches and then threw his shots after. And he didn't carry his power over to 168 that he had at 160. So Abraham was already exposed at that point. I wanted to put Saki Obika at number 5. That's my guy at number 5. That's Andre Ward's 5th best victory of his career, in my opinion. Saki Obika was 28-4-2 at that point, but he was in there with tough guys, tough, experienced fighter, and an awkward fighter who could punch and makes fights dirty, tough to look good against. And this fight was ugly. It was ugly. And the scorecards were wide in favor of Andre Ward. However, a lot of people, myself included, felt the fight was closer than the scorecards indicated. This was for the WBA belt. This was November 27, 2010. And this was the fight sandwiched in between Green and Abraham. I believe he replaced Durrell for this. Saki Obika replaced Andre Durrell. Everybody wanted to see Ward versus Durrell. It didn't happen. Instead, we got this fight. But this was his 5th best victory, in my opinion. Number 4 was Edison Miranda. The reason I put Edison Miranda was this was 5 years into Andre Ward's career. People were getting frustrated with Andre Ward. He turned pro back in 2004, gold medalist. They wanted to see him step up. Finally, he fought a fighter with a pulse in Edison Miranda. Even though Edison Miranda was exposed at that point as well, he had lost 3 of his previous fights, like 3 of his previous 5 fights, something like that. Lost twice to did he lose twice to Pavlik? Something like that. But I know he lost to Pavlik, lost twice to somebody else. But anyway, was it Arthur Abraham? I don't remember. But anyway, this was his 4th best victory, in my opinion, because he was cut in the first round, showed some balls, getting through that, and got a good win against a decent fighter 5 years into his career to finally put his name out there as a pro fighter. Number 3, and this was for the WBC and WBA super middleweight belts. Chad Dawson moved down from 175 to 168. He was coming over a previous loss to John Pascal, like 2 or 3 fights previous. He was 31-1, and I don't remember. Was this? Yeah, I think this was September of 2012. These two guys fought, and Andre Ward just completely dominated him. And I think what surprised people the most was he stopped Chad Dawson in this fight in the 7th round. And very good performance here by Andre Ward. And obviously now we see that Chad Dawson isn't who we thought he was at that time. The Pascal fight showed us that he wasn't a top pound for pound guy, as everybody was saying, but this was still a good performance by Andre Ward against a decent fighter and Chad Dawson at that point, but he dominated him. So very good fight there, and I have that number 3. Number 2, Mikkel Kessler. And this was November 29th of 2009. The reason I put this so high on the list and even higher than Chad Dawson is a lot of people now say they picked Andre Ward to win the Super 6. They weren't picking him to win the Super 6. Only a handful of us were actually picking Andre Ward to win the Super 6 before it started. And he came out. A lot of people expected Mikkel Kessler to expose him in this fight. Andre Ward completely dominated Mikkel Kessler in this fight, beat him up in Oakland, in Andre Ward's hometown, and started the Super. And this was the first fight in the Super 6. Started off the Super 6 with a bang and with an upset. Kessler was the betting favorite in this fight, and this was for the WBA belt. He took Mikkel Kessler's WBA belt in a dominating performance in Oakland, California. To really, this really put Andre Ward on the map as a top fighter and a guy for people to look out for. And the number 1 victory of Andre Ward's career was against Carl Froch, December 17, 2011, for the Super 6 trophy. This was the championship of the Super 6 tournament, which was a very good tournament. I loved that tournament, even though there were a lot of guys who had to sub in for other guys, and it wasn't what they wanted it to be, but it was still a good tournament in a super deep division. This was for the WBA and WBC belts as well that were unifying belts. And this fight was closer than people make it out to be at this point. Andre Ward faded late. Carl Froch came on late to make the scorecards closer late, 115, 113 on 2 scorecards and 118, 110 on the other. But Froch had his moments late, really tested Andre Ward's will late, but Andre Ward got the victory against Carl Froch. Against Carl Froch, one of the guys who, one of the top super middleweights since the division started back in the 80s. So Carl Froch, a Hall of Famer. I mean, in my opinion, one of the great fighters of the past 10 years as far as resume goes. You look at his resume, top resume out there, but Andre Ward beat him. You know, I had it 116, 112, so I believe that's what I had it. I got to go back and look at that, but very good fight for Andre Ward here, and showed that he was a top super middleweight at the time, and beating Carl Froch for the WBC, WBA, and Super 6 tournament championship. So, and that's when Carl Froch was 28-1 at that point. And that was prime Carl Froch. So hit me up. Let me know what y'all think about this list. Where would you move some of these fights? Would you have Carl Froch at the top? Would you have Kessler above that? Would you have Chad Dawson above that? I just think the Carl Froch victory is the height of his career up to this point. Kessler right below it, Dawson below that, Miranda below that, and Bika with Green and Abraham right underneath that. So hit me up. Let me know what y'all think about this. I think it's a good list. And hopefully he can do something to add to this list, because the past 4 years have been rough going for Andre Ward's career, and hasn't been doing anything. So hit me up. Let me know what y'all think. Peace.